Okay, welcome everybody to the EMA session we're having like tonight so wherever you're connected from, whatever part of the world, if it's morning, noon, evening, or it's the same time zone, wherever you're connected from, welcome every one of you to the EMA we have today. So today we are having an EMA with HoudiniSwap, and I think I dropped a short description about the project which is basically HoudiniSwap enables investors to interact with blockchain freely while maximizing privacy and anonymity in such a unique way. It talked about how it's the first of its kind bridge that no one else has ever done in the Web3 space, which is actually unique because they are not a mixer and they aim to be a regulatory compliant solution. And I think that brief write-up was done, and I believe many of us have done our researches, many of us have done our studies about the project to know what this project is about and what you should come to ask about, what you should inquire. And I believe many of us have also joined their groups as well. I think some persons actually have bought in earlier on, and I think some of us will still buy in after this EMA session. So we're having Lo with us. He's the founder of HoudiniSwap, and he's going to be also taking our questions. So Lo, I want to welcome you as well. And first question I have is I want you to do an introduction for us, like tell us what HoudiniSwap is about in your own words and sell HoudiniSwap to us.
Yeah, first off, I just want to say that I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to join your AMA and to engage with members of your community. I do want to just correct something up front. I'm not Lou. Lou is the founder of HoudiniSwap. My name is Tim,
okay,
and I am a core member of the HoudiniSwap team. So basically, to give you an introduction, my name is Tim. I'm part of the HoudiniSwap core team. My focus on the HoudiniSwap team is operations. So basically, what that means is that I help oversee our software development teams, to develop technical roadmaps and to make sure that our development team is following on track, as well as speccing out new features and just making sure that things work behind the scenes. So that's a little bit about me. And I believe your second question was to talk a little bit about HoudiniSwap and to sell HoudiniSwap. Is that right?
Yeah. That was the question.
Yeah. So HoudiniSwap is a service that basically anonymizes your crypto transactions using Monero. And if you think about it, prior to HoudiniSwap or even in regular day-to-day crypto transactions, if I were to send you House of Wealth, I'm sorry, what was your name? Is it Israel?
Yeah. My name is Israel. Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. So if I were to send you Israel, 1 ETH, right? That transaction is always going to be recorded on the Ethereum blockchain. And when I send you that ETH, now you can see my wallet address, and now you can see every single crypto transactions I've ever done. You can also see how much cryptocurrency I have in my wallet. And now you can see all the NFTs that I have in my wallet, right? And that's a little bit concerning because, if you think about it, if I go to the store and I pay for something with my debit card or my bank account, the store doesn't have access to my bank account. It can't go in and see how much money I have in my bank account because there is a basic layer of privacy and protection regarding your bank account financial details. But with crypto, it's not like that, right? If you send someone crypto and they get your wallet address, they can see everything that you've ever spent your money on, your crypto on, and your assets, right? And that's a little bit unacceptable if you really think about it in that way, right? Because the individual should have some right to privacy regarding your financial assets, right? And in a traditional financial infrastructure like the banking system, there is that level of privacy, but with crypto, there is not. And so, in the future, if for example, let's say Netflix, or Amazon accepts Ethereum, right? And you go to pay for your Amazon or your Netflix with Ethereum, Well, now Netflix or Amazon can look at your wallet address and they can say, oh, Israel has, $10,000 worth of ETH. He has a crypto punk, he's spent $50,000 in crypto transactions last year. And I think that you would agree with me, Israel, that's unacceptable, right? Why should
Exactly.
corporations, be able to see your crypto net worth just because you paid for a service using Ethereum? So that's the value proposition behind HoudiniSwap, right? All we
Yeah.
do is that we add a layer of privacy to your day-to-day crypto transactions, where now if you do a service for me and you ask to get paid in crypto, I can now send you and pay you in crypto without you having the ability to access my wallet history and to see how much money I'm worth or who I've spent my money on or how many NFTs I have, right? And I think we can both agree, Israel, that that's how it should be, right? And so
Exactly.
that's where
Exactly.
HoudiniSwap comes in. We use Monero to anonymize your transactions so that you can feel secure about paying, whether it's your friends, your family, or you paying for businesses with crypto. You can feel safe and secure knowing that whoever you're paying isn't going to be able to go in and see what your net worth is in crypto, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, that's that. I hope that answered your question.
Very, very well. So, two more questions, and then I think I'm going to allow those who are in the AMA to ask their questions. So, I want to ask this: what is the current major proposition of the team? What is the current focus, or let me put it, what is the major focus of the team right now? Right now, what is the team like working on currently? What is the major focus of the team right now?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's gonna be kind of an answer that's gonna be a little bit longer, but I'm sure once you hear it, you'll understand. So we've been around for over 6 months. We've done over $11 million in volume in terms of how much volume has been. How much money has been anonymized using our service. So we're beyond the minimum viability product phase, right? We
Okay.
validated the idea. We've proved that there's demand, right? And now we're at the point where our main core focus is partnerships, right? How can we get our service in front of as many people as possible? Because we've already gone beyond the point of, hey, we have an idea. We think this idea is good, but we don't know if it's gonna work when we build it, right? And then we built the
Yeah.
idea, and now we've proved that people are using it, and people are using it a lot. So the next part is what organizations can we partner with where it's a good fit, where the organization that has interest in using us, right? Maybe it's an integration directly into their website, right? Or maybe it's a
Yeah.
wallet that wants to use our service built into their wallet, right? And so that's the stuff that we're focusing on right now is how can we get our service in front of, or how can we build partnerships with other organizations so that we can increase volume, increase users, right, and increase the number
Exactly.
of apps that go through our application. So that's the main thing that we're focusing on. But what that also means, because you can sign a partnership with an organization, but there has to be some work behind that partnership, right? And so
Yeah.
kind of like it's kind of like a dual approach, right? So on marketing, we have to go out and find these organizations interested in us, but these organizations may have some kind of technical requirements that they need from us in order to, I guess, fulfill the partnership. And so on the other side, there's the technical requirements. So we have to focus. We have to speak with our development teams. We have to figure out what this, for example, let's say a partner signs with us. We have to figure out now, what does this partner want from us from in a technical perspective, and how can we build that, right? And so
Yeah.
these are the things that we're focusing on right now.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I think I have a very holistic view of what you're saying very well. And so then the third question I have is basically before I ask open the mic for others to ask is what is the current marketing strategy that you guys are applying for your token and for your project right now?
Yeah, great question. So our current marketing strategy is as I mentioned earlier, is finding partnerships, right? Because these are long-term and sustainable marketing campaigns that bring value over time, right? I think when people think about marketing in regards to cryptocurrencies, at least, and I might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but typically it involves, paying some kind of call group to shout out your coin, or paying for like a one-time shilling of your coin. But if you think about it, that's not a very sustainable model, right?
Yeah.
It's a very short-term hindsight. It's short-term thinking, right? You pay for a one-off service, you get a short-term benefit, but what does it do for you in the long term, right? And we, as an organization, we don't want to focus or commit finance or resources to short-term strategies, right? So what we are trying to do is very intentional, right? What is long-term and has the best return on our investment? And for us, that is actual partnerships with legitimate organizations out there, right? I'll give you an example of a potential partner for our service. There's a lot of online casinos out there, right? And online casinos, the people who are playing casino games or whatever, they may not want, these online casinos accept crypto, right? But people who are, signing up for this online casino, they may not want that online casino to see, their wallet history and their wallet addresses and all the money they have in their wallet. So, for an online casino, they may approach us and say, "Hey, we're interested in using your service for the people that use our casino," right? Because they may want to anonymize, the source of funds when they go to play their online games, right? Now that is a partnership that in itself is a long-term marketing strategy, right? For one, we get access to the casino's users, right? And two, we prove that there is demand outside of going directly to our website, right? Like now our technology can be used in a partner's website or a partner's application, right? So these are the kind of marketing efforts that we're focusing on, right? Long-term, sustainable.
Okay, that's great. Great. Debbie, are you there? Do you have a question? Do you have something to say?
Yes, sir. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this amazing opportunity, and I see that the project is really going to grow in leaps and bounds. My question is just a very simple one. The goal here is privacy and animosity of funds of investors, which is great. But realistically, we can we just talk about the side effects of these things? And even if you're not going to erase it 100%, right, or erase the side effects 100%, what are the measures you're going to put in place to actually reduce it to bare minimum, to actually not affect the investors when it arrives? I think that's my question. I don't know if it's clear.
If you don't mind, I heard your question, but could you ask the question a little bit slower so I can?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I talk a bit fast. I'm so sorry.
So
Okay.
I think you also have to be a bit loud.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
we
I
can.
can hear you
All right.
clearly.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. I'm just saying that since the goal is privacy and animosity of the investors funds, right? What is there are going to be side effects to these things, definitely. So what are the measures that the team is going to put in place to at least reduce it to the barest minimum, not to affect the funds of investors when it arrives? That's the question, really.
So I think that there's a clear distinction to be made here, right? Because there's a service in itself, right? And our service is we provide that to users, right? And then there are investors who buy the token, right? And so you mentioned side effects, and I'm not sure. Could you elaborate?
I think side effects should be referring to possible challenges.
Yes.
So, like, what are the possible challenges and measures placed in place to curb them?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example, right? So very often, our competitors are called what's called virtual currency mixers, right? And I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. One of them being Tornado Cash, and basically this class of competitors basically offered the same services as us, but they're not legal, 100% legal, right? And we gained the inspiration from our idea for anonymizing transactions. We actually got the idea from this class of competitors that has been deemed illegal by a lot of Western governments, like the United States, for example. So a big side effect when we were building out this application is how can we build our service in a way that's 100% compliant with the government's regulatory environment, right? And so a potential side effect down the road is, whether our service is going to be legal or not. But I will tell you right now that that we have multiple lawyers that we've discussed our service with. And the way that we have built our service and our application, we are 100% compliant, right? As of right now. Now, will things change down the road? It might, right? But I think you can say the same about any business operating in the crypto space, right? And so I will say this, though, long-term wise, our goal is to always remain 100% compliant with governments that our service operates in, right? So it's a side effect or a challenge that we're aware of constantly, because if any company that does what we do tells you that they're not going to cooperate with the government, then that's not the company that you want to be associated with long term, because they're not going to be around in business long term. And I think that's just common sense, right? Whereas for us, we want to make sure that we cooperate and we're compliant with governments of regulatory environments of wherever our site operates in.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. So guys, if you have a question and you would want to ask your question, basically you should just, I think there's an icon that raises your hand up. So I would have to click on it, accept you and unmute it. So that's basically what you should just do. So I think a couple of persons have already doing that. So you just click on that icon that points you to raise your hand, and then I will unmute you so you can actually speak up and ask your question. So I think K is, let me unmute K.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, go ahead, Simeon.
All right, so good evening, everyone. Good evening, Shifuwealth. And
Great.
It's an amazing session, but I've been following up the entire Dream ecosystem for a while, and I literally love what they are doing. And for HoudiniSwap, I love the innovation, literally, and the fact that one of the utilities is solve the anonymity of users. But for me, I do a lot of like on-chain analysis, and I can track like any transaction literally done on the blockchain. And if HoudiniSwap one of their plans are to like solve anonymity of their users, and he said everything was being legal, and Debbie said something about having that there's a good case scenario and also a bad case scenario. Now for me, I can literally like track the transactions on Etherscan and check a wallet that buys a very, very high amount of the token, and just track. And I use an analytic tool called the bank to check the whole portfolio and the history of what that particular wallet is holding. That aside, but I noticed that that the team is doing more of some buybacks to help keep the charts look very, very much healthy. So my question goes as this: what is the the level of sustainability to which the team uses to do that? The level of sustainability.
Okay, I'm going to do my best to answer the question. So when someone performs a swap on our using HoudiniSwap, right? We have non-KYC liquidity partners, right, that process these transactions. Now, the non-KYC liquidity partner charges, for example, 2% on a swap that goes through our system, right? Of that 2%, 0.5% is given to us as a rebate, and that is our company revenue that we generate for every swap that goes within our system, right? So that 0.5% of a swap that goes through our system is then used as buybacks for the proof token chart, right? So as long as there are swaps going through our system, of which there hasn't been a period of time where there hasn't been swaps going through our system, there is always going to be revenue for to be used as buybacks, right? And so I hope that answers the sustainability part, because it seems like there might be a little bit of ambiguity as to where the funds being generated to perform buybacks on. Well, the funds are being generated for every swap that goes through our system.
Great.
Okay, so that's amazing. And for my other question, I asked that, anything done on the blockchain is literally like permanent, and if I'm to track, one of like the whales that got into the pre-sale, and let's say there's actually a point to an instance whereby he literally like sells off, and I then add that wallet to my watch list, and the plan for HoudiniSwap is to keep the anonymity of their users. And if I peradventure add that wallet to my watch list, does this mean that the utilities set aside for HoudiniSwap is working, because you have other competitors in the market?
Yeah. Let me try to break down your question, because I think that there's some confusion here, right? HoudiniSwap, in order for us to anonymize your transactions, you have to use the HoudiniSwap service, right? Like if you buy and sell Poof through Uniswap, that transaction isn't being anonymized, right? Like in order for a transaction to be anonymized, you have to go to HoudiniSwap.com and use our service, and that's when the anonymization happens. But for like you mentioned pre-sale wallets. I'm assuming that you're tracking them based on buys and sells on Uniswap, or buys on sells that appear on DEX tools. Like those transactions are not anonymized, right? But that's separate. That's people who are buying and selling Poof tokens. There are users of our service that don't necessarily have Poof tokens, that don't buy or sell Poof tokens, that can still anonymize their transactions just by using HoudiniSwap.com. So I think I just want to clarify that there's a difference. We don't anonymize buying and selling through Uniswap. We anonymize sending crypto from one wallet to another. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, guys. I think I would want us to take one more question, and then probably we should be able to wrap up for today. I think there's already almost 30 minutes gone. So I think I saw 56315. You want to say something? You want to ask something? You asked to be unmuted. SAR 56315. Okay. And I don't know, K. Okay, K. Yeah. K. I just clicked on it to allow you to speak. So K, you can ask if you have a question.
Okay, good day.
Yeah, good day.
I have two questions actually.
Please just ask one.
Okay. I wanted to ask that when I make use of the HoudiniSwap, will it be like, will the project be able to know my wallet address? Like, since HoudiniSwap is for like privacy and anonymity about me sending crypto to someone else, can HoudiniSwap, can they know like my actual, like my wallet address? I'm not sure if you understand my question.
We heard your question. Young, did you hear his question?
Yeah, I think I understood what he said. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to re-explain it. And that way you can tell me if I messed something up when I was explaining it. So you're saying, okay, that if I use HoudiniSwap, does HoudiniSwap know my wallet address, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great question. Yes, we do, but that data is not stored on our servers for long. I believe we erase that data within 24 hours. And that information is necessary for us to process the swap. However, it's something that we don't store over a long period of time, right? I wish that we could create a system where that information, we didn't have to hold on to that information. But if you think about it, the way that Kay, have you used our platform before? Out of curiosity.
No.
Okay. Yeah. So the way that our platform works is that we do require, like, there has to be a sender address. So, okay, let me rewind this back up and let me explain how our system works, right? When you go to HoudiniSwap, right, you are taken to a page where it asks you, what is your input currency, right? What currency do you want to send in? So for example, if I want to send to you ETH, I would select ETH as the input currency. Then it'll ask me, what's the amount of ETH that I want to send? So I say, I want to send K1 ETH, right? Then it asks, what is the output currency? So K, let's say you want to receive Bitcoin, but I have Ethereum. I can send you 1 ETH, or I can send 1 ETH to HoudiniSwap, and HoudiniSwap will return to you whatever the Bitcoin value of 1 ETH is, right? So in that process, we use Monero. So when our system receives that ETH, it is exchanged into Monero, and then our system exchanges that Monero into Bitcoin, and you receive Bitcoin, right? And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Monero, but Monero is a privacy coin. It's virtually impossible to track Monero transactions. And that's why we use Monero as kind of a tunnel between input and output. I hope that makes sense. So in order for our system to recognize that I am sending HoudiniSwap 1 ETH, there has to be a transaction, right? There has to be a transaction where our system receives 1 ETH, right? And so as a part of that transaction, there has to be a record of where those funds are coming from. I hope that makes sense.
Good, thank you.
Yes, it does. So I think we have an economist who wants to ask a question. So I just allowed you to speak, Bulberg. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Basically, you can ask the question you have. That should be our last question.
Yeah, good
So just
evening.
go straight
Thank
to
you
your
for giving
question,
me the
please.
information. Yeah, so I was reading through the white paper just now, and I found something about incubator Dream Lab. So I was wondering, what effect does it have on the utility? As in, why do you have the incubators, and then what is the effect, and then what effect does it have on sustainability at the same time? Thank you.
Yeah, great question. And let me elaborate on the incubator program. So there is a company called Dream Labs, and Dream Labs is kind of a launch pad, right? And so HoudiniSwap is part of the Dream Labs launch pad. And there's a reason why we're under the umbrella of Dream Labs. And that is because this project was bootstrapped, which means that it was paid for by people's personal funds, right? And so Dream Labs helped provide some of the cash that it took in order to build this application from the ground up. If you think about a lot of crypto projects that are out there, not just us, the majority of these crypto projects, what happens is that they have an idea. Let's say they want to build some platform, but they don't have the money to build the platform. So what do? They do a token raise, right? They launch a token, they do a private sale, they launch a token. And the idea is that they want to raise money so that they can then build the project down the road, 3 months down the road. But then what often happens is that, for whatever reason, maybe the platform doesn't work out, or maybe they spend the money and they have the platform, but they don't have any users, and all the money that was raised in the token raise, it just kind of disappears, right? Because the project goes under, right? What we did is that we didn't go with that route. We decided to self-fund this application with Dream Labs, right? Dream Labs also provided a community behind HoudiniSwap, right? They also helped with branding and support as well. And so because this was because we didn't do a token raise when we built this application. We were able to build the application and validate demand before we even raised the token, right? We just launched a token less than a week ago, but this website has been generating revenue for almost half a year without even having to do a token raise. Yeah. So that's very different from 95% of all the tokens that you hear of or that you hear launch out there, right? And so Dream Labs is a big reason behind that, right? And so there's no real effect on utility, right? They provided us with, like I said, branding, community support, and they also provided a significant amount of funds to build this application from the ground up, right? And with this token raise, or when we launched this token, we paid back Dream Labs for the funds that they used to help build this company from the ground up, and that's pretty much it. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much. I understand.
Okay. That's awesome. I think I still have a lot of persons trying to indicate they have a question or something. So let's see if we could take one or two more, and then we should be done. So we have. Okay, Sandra, you can ask. And meanwhile, I just actually.
Thank you for the opportunity. Okay, my question is, I want to ask about what's the motivation behind this creation of this coin, and could there be a cross chain, something like that? And is it possible for us to what's the difference between buying on Uniswap and buying on your swap because of the difference in fees? Which fee is higher and which fee is lower? And can we buy all Ethereum coins on your swap, or there are specific coins we can buy there? I just want to
know. I had a little bit of difficulty on hearing the question. I think there was some choppiness on my end, and it sounded like. Sorry, go ahead.
So I actually got the same set of choppiness, but I think she was asking about 3 questions. So the first question is, what was the motivation behind HoudiniSwap? And the second question is, can HoudiniSwap be bought outside Uniswap or only on Uniswap right now?
Okay. So HoudiniSwap, or Poof is our token, POOF. It can only be bought, or it can only be traded on Uniswap. And then to answer your first question regarding the motivation of HoudiniSwap is that we are big advocates for privacy, especially in regards to your financial assets, right? And the team at HoudiniSwap saw that there was a big disconnect between how people send crypto back and forth and the individual's right to privacy, right? And I'm not sure, Sandra, if you were here at the beginning of the conversation, but basically, if you don't use a service like HoudiniSwap, and Sandra, if I were to send you, Ethereum, right, and I did not use HoudiniSwap, well, Sandra, when you receive that Ethereum from me, you also have my wallet address, and now you can see my wallet history. Now you can see how much crypto I have in my wallet, all the places I've ever sent or spent my crypto on. You can see all my NFTs now, and I think you and I, Sandra, can both agree that that's not necessarily something that you want to be putting out there in the world, right? And so we saw an opportunity to create a service to help anonymize the sending of crypto from one person to another, right? And I think that it's now using HoudiniSwap, Sandra, if you wanted to receive Ethereum from me, I could send you Ethereum using HoudiniSwap, and you won't be able to see where the funds came from. And I think that that's kind of how the system should work, right? If you use your bank account, your debit card to pay for something on Amazon, Amazon shouldn't be able to see how much money you have in your bank account. But if you were to pay for Amazon services with Ethereum right now without using HoudiniSwap, Amazon would have your wallet address and they would have your wallet history, and they would be able to see all that information. So I think that was kind of the motivation behind HoudiniSwap, right? People deserve to have some layer of privacy regarding their financial crypto assets.
Thank you. I also have a question. How do you intend to make your swap popular, like Uniswap and GetSwap, so people out there will know about it? Because this is the first time I'm getting to know it. So, and also, how safe is my wallet when I connect my wallet to your swap? How safe it is?
So I think I'm gonna cut you short there, Sandra. I think those questions have actually been touched already, where he stated about the fact that they are going to be. I think that was the first questions we talked about, which has to do with partnerships, their marketing model, which is actually very unique from the majority marketing model. So they are going to be doing with partnerships, and I think he answered that on twice already. And also that has to do with the security. He also talked about security as well. So, but I think Young, if you want to answer that again about security in the sense of how safe it is using HoudiniSwap, I think you can go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll lay it like this right now. As of right now, we've processed over $11 million in swap volume with HoudiniSwap, which means that throughout the history of this company, the total amount of money crypto that has been swapped from one person to another using our application has been above $11 million. Wow. Of that $11 million, we have never lost customer funds, right? And so that goes back to not only just security, but the level of support that we provide to our users, because at the end of the day, we're an application that deals with people's money. And so if things go wrong, people understandably get worried and concerned, right? And so we're very proud to say that we've built our application and our support team so that security and safety of user funds are at the top of our mind.
Amazing. Okay, Charity, I think you want to say something.
Yeah, I want to say something. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Yang. So I want to ask something of your project. My question is, what's the price projection for your token by the end of this year? What's the price projection for your token by the end of this year? That's my question.
So we typically don't. If I could make price predictions, I wouldn't be in the crypto business. I'd be a trillionaire on an island somewhere in the middle of nowhere, right? It's a question that's tough to answer because there's so many variables that are going on here. Our concern primarily is how can we build our application so that we can offer on privacy services to as many people in the crypto space as possible. I don't really want to get into price predictions because I think it's impossible for someone to do, to be frank. And if someone could really predict prices of something, they'd probably be the wealthiest person in the world.
Okay. I think you misunderstand me. What I asked was price projection, not prediction. Projection.
Essentially, they're the same.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Essentially, they're the same thing. What I can say as a business, because we are a legitimate business that is generating revenue, is that in the number of volume, which is the amount of money that is being swapped, and the amount of users on our platform, and the number of swaps individually that are occurring in our platform, that it's growing 20% month over month. And I think I think we can all agree that for any business, regardless of whether it's crypto or a restaurant or a bank, if your metrics are showing 20% over month growth, then you're doing very well.
Of course.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That's basically that's actually correct. That's correct, and that's amazing. So we've had amazing time so far. I think we started. This is about 45 minutes from when we started, and we've had quite a number of us on this session. So we'll be wrapping up here. But before we go, I know a lot of persons. A couple of persons actually have gotten in on Houdini when it launched, and if you haven't, I think you should actually take a position in their projects. And most persons, we always want to wait here is Wealth. Shifu actually bullish on this or not bullish? I'm actually bullish on HoudiniSwap. That's why we're having an AMA with them. I'm bullish up in the business model, in their revenue model, and what they are doing. I am also holding their tokens. Like, I got in the pre-sale before the launch, and I haven't sold a dime. I'm still holding the token because I believe in the projection of how big their revenue is going to get to the company, the business, and what they are doing over time. And I think we shouldn't miss it, and we shouldn't miss out as well. So if you don't have a position, you can actually get in a position, I think, on Uniswap, Ethereum. So probably I'm going to get the chat link and drop it on our Telegram anytime today or tomorrow as well. But before that, Yang, do you have any last words to say before we call it a day here?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone who participated in this Telegram AMA, and big shout out. I really appreciate everyone who took the time to ask questions about what we do, who we are, and what we have to offer. Our token has been only around for less than a week, but our business behind it has been around for half a year. And so we're really excited because for us, based on all the information that I shared with you, from the growth of the company, the amount of volume, the amount of users, the amount of swaps that are occurring within our platform, that really this is just the beginning. And we're not here for, short-term stuff. We're trying to build a long-term sustainable crypto business. And so we're just excited because this is the beginning. And thank you, Israel, for having me. That's for sure.
Yeah, thanks. Well, thanks for accepting our invitation and being here with us, sharing your views. And I think I'm excited about HoudiniSwap. I'm excited about what is being built, and I know a couple of persons are also excited about that as well. And definitely, this session is actually being recorded, so we'll have it a bit edited by my team, and probably uploaded on our official YouTube channel as well, and sent out to those who are not currently in this AMA because of time zone differences can actually hook up to listen over to the recording and get involved in HoudiniSwap, get involved to the Telegram community as well, and we build from there. So also, guys, I think for those who are, we have about 200 USDT to give out for rewards. So probably my team have done a couple of screenshots among those who are currently on the AMA session, and I think they are going to forward it to me once we're done, and winners will be picked across those who are present, those who ask questions, and those involved, and probably will collate your addresses and get the rewards sent to you as well. Thanks everyone for hopping in. Thanks Young as well, and do have a nice evening, noon, and morning wherever you are connected from.